Hello students, in today's lecture we are going to discuss about the Bohr's model. Okay, Niels Bohr was a scientist and he discovered some hydrogen atom system on the basis of planetary system. We are going to discuss that model in detail. Niels Bohr constructed a model for hydrogen atom on the basis of planetary system. If the electron in a hydrogen atom has the series of planetary type of orbits available to it, then it can be excited to a outer orbit and then can fall into another inner orbit, gives off the energy corresponding to one of its line. So what does that mean? If there is an atom and if that atom having different types of different number of orbits to it, then what will happen? Then the electron can easily jump from one orbit to another orbit, either from inner orbit to outer orbit, or it can jump from outer orbit to inner orbit. This is what is the assumption made by the scientist Bohr. Okay, after discovering this thing, orbital system, he developed some postulates related to this model only. We are going to study the models. First is electron exist in the certain stable state, circular orbits around the nucleus. So if you are having electron, if you are having an atom, then there is a presence of electron. Where that electron exists in a certain stable or circular orbits which are around the nucleus. All right, so if there is a atom, then at the center of that atom there will be a nucleus, and electron will revolve around that nucleus in a circular orbit. That will be stable. This assumption implies that orbiting electron does not give off radiation, as well as classical electromagnetic theory would normally require a charge experiencing angular acceleration. Otherwise, the electron would not be stable in the orbit. It would be spiral into the orbit around the nucleus as it lost its energy by the radiation. Now, the first postulate is about the position of an electron. Okay, electron exists in a certain stable or circular orbits and it revolves around the nucleus. Now, while revolving around the nucleus, it is that electron is not giving off any kind of radiation or electromagnetic energy, and it would be a spiral in orbit around the nucleus as it lost its energy by the radiation. And that even when they are stating that the orbit is circular, what does that mean and how they are very confident about saying the orbit is circular? Because the electron which is revolving around the nucleus in a spiral orbit. Why? Because it is losing its energy by the radiations, right? Whatever the energy that electron is going to have, it is going to release that energy or radiate that energy by revolving around the nucleus. Second postulate is about the electron may shift to an orbit of higher or lower energy by gaining or losing the energy, which is equal to the difference in the energy levels. For an example, if we have two energy levels, E1 and E2. Now, if there is an electron which is present in the energy level E1, and if that electron gains some energy, or it is like having extra energy, then what will happen? That electron will jump from this lower energy state to the higher energy state, that is E2. And vice versa also can happen if there is an electron which is present in the energy level E2, and if that electron loses its energy by revolving around the nucleus, then it can easily fall from energy level E2 to energy level E1. While moving from one energy level to the another energy level, it emits some energy or it emits some radiations, and those radiations nothing but h nu. Okay, h is Planck's constant, nu is the frequency of radiation. And what is that h nu? H nu is the difference between two energy levels. If that electron is jumping from E2 to E1, then we can write h nu is equal to E2 minus E1, higher energy minus lower energy state. So this is all about second postulate of the Niels Bohr. It is clearly stating that electron can easily shift from one orbit to another orbit, either that is higher to lower or lower to higher, by either gaining or losing the energy. What does that mean? If there is electron present in E1 and if it is gaining energy, then it will jump from lower to higher energy level. And if there is an electron present in E2 and if it is losing energy, then it will jump from higher energy state to the lower energy state. And that energy which is equal to the level difference in the energy levels. Okay, so this is radiation of the electron, and that is given by difference of the energy levels E2 minus E1. All right, after that there is a third assumption: the angular momentum p theta of electron in an orbit is integral multiple of Planck's constant divided by 2 pi. Okay, so whatever the angular momentum of that electron, like whatever angular momentum that electron is having, that angular momentum is integral multiple of Planck's constant divided by 2 pi. What is Planck's constant? Planck's constant is h divided by 2 pi, and this entire thing is nothing but angular momentum, which is represented by h cross. All right. So according to this postulate, we can just clearly say that P naught or P theta is equal to N into H cross. What is N? N is any integer value, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Okay. Why we are having N here? Because that angular momentum is integral multiple of Planck's constant divided by 2 pi. Here we are putting value Planck's constant divided by 2 pi is equal to H cross. Right. So instead of writing H upon 2 pi, we can just simply write H cross. Right, so this h cross is here and it is an integral multiple. That is why this n is here. The value of n is any integer number. So this is all about third postulate. This is equivalent to an integer number of de Broglie's wavelength with circumference of an electron orbit. These waves are called as pilot waves, as they are guiding the motion of the electron around the nucleus. So whatever the waveforms which are generating with this phenomenon, those waveforms are called as pilot waves. And why they are called as a pilot waves? Because they are just guiding the motion of an electron. Okay, these waveforms will guide to electron in which direction to move. That is why these waveforms are called as pilot waves. All right. After that, we are going to study the hydrogen atom. Okay. If electron is in the stable orbit of radius r about proton of hydrogen atom, we can equate electrostatic force between charge and centripetal force, and that is given by following equation. Now, what we are going to discuss here, if there is an electron, okay, it is if there is that electron is in the stable orbit of a radius r, okay, if that electron is in the orbitary motion and that radius of that orbit is r, then we can just equate electrostatic force with the help of this information. And what is that electrostatic force? Electrostatic force is nothing but force between charges and centripetal force, and we can just write that is as minus q square upon kr square, which is equal to minus mv square upon r. This is how you can just write your electrostatic force, where k is nothing but 4 pi epsilon 0 and v is nothing but velocity of electron. Q is what? It is a charge on electron. R is the radius of the orbit. M is the mass of the hydrogen atom, and v is the velocity in which the hydrogen atom is moving. So we can just label this equation as equation number 1, where the value of k is given 4 pi epsilon naught and v is nothing but velocity of the electron. All right. After that, from assumption 3. So what is the assumption 3? In assumption 3, they have stated that the angular momentum p theta of an electron is in an orbit is the integral multiple of Planck's constant divided by 2 pi. So we can just rewrite the equation number 1 as P naught is equal to mvr, and that is nothing but n into h cross. What is n? N is the integer in any integer number, and h cross is nothing but h upon 2 pi. Right? N is integer number. What is r? Rn is equal to radius of the nth orbit. If we are having radius of first orbit, then it will be r1. If we are having radius of second orbit, then it will be r2. If you are having radius of nth orbit, then it will be rn. Right? So with this information, equation 2 will be, what is equation 2? It is mvr is equal to n into h cross. Right? So what we'll do here, we will just make square m square v square, which is equal to, what is on other side, n into h cross. So it will be n square into h cross square. Right? But there it will get divided by radius, which is rn. Right? Because we are considering the atom which is present in the nth orbit. Right? After that, we can just label this equation as equation number 3. What we have simply done here, this is what we have, mvr, which is equal to n into h cross. So simply we did square on both sides. What will happen? M square v square r square is equal to n square h cross square. Now what we have done here, that r square which is present on left hand side, we just transfer it to the right hand side. right? If we are, instead of r, we are writing rn because we are considering the radius of nth orbit. That's it. And this is equation number 3. Now, if we put the value of equation 3 in equation number 1, what will happen? See here, there is a mv square and we have m square v square, right? So that what will happen? Q square. So here this minus sign and this minus sign will get cancelled. Obviously, there will be no minus sign in the further equations. Q square upon kr square, q square upon krn square, which is equal to, it will be remain constant as it is. This left side will be as it is. On the right side, what will happen? Instead of mv square, what we are going to write? H square n cross square. H square n cross square divided by r. Instead of r, we are writing rn because we are considering radius of nth orbit, and on this side we have m square, but here we have only m. Because of that, one m will be extra here. Okay, and this this r is as it is over here, right? We can just label this equation as equation number 4. If we convert the given equation in the form of rn, okay, if we convert this equation number 4 into the rn format, then it will be rn is equal to n square h cross square k divided by m q square. All right. Now this equation will give us the radius of the nth orbit of electron. Right. Equation 5 represents the radius of nth orbit of electron. Therefore, total energy we can easily calculate. First of all, to calculate total energy, we'll need velocity. V is equal to n h cross divided by m rn. Right. If this is equation number 6, then what will happen? Instead of n into h cross, we can write q square upon k n square h square. Right. After that, what will happen? This h cross will get cancelled with one of the h cross. This n will get cancelled with this one of the n. Right. Now what we are left with? Q square upon k n h cross. This is equation number 7. Now we want to calculate the total energy. How to calculate total energy? Total energy is nothing but kinetic energy plus potential energy. For that, we need to calculate kinetic energy first. Kinetic energy of electron is 1/2 mv square. Right. Now instead of v square, what we have? See, value of v is here. V is equal to q square upon k n h cross. But we are having v square. So simply what we'll do? Q raised to 4 k square n square h square. Right. See here, 1/2 is as it is. M is also as it is. Instead of v, what we are going to write? You are going to write this value. But here it is v square. That is why it will be q raised to 4. Why? Because this q raised to 2 is there and we are making square of it. 2 into 2 will be 4. Q raised to 4 divided by k square n square h square. And this is equation number 8. What we simply did, we just write the formula of kinetic energy, which is 1/2 mv square. Now we put 1/2 and m as it is. Instead of writing v, we have value of v as q square upon k n h cross. We just put that value here and we got equation number 8. So we are done with the kinetic energy. We need to calculate the potential energy also. Why? Because we want to find the total energy of a hydrogen atom. So potential energy is the product of electrostatic force and distance between charges, right? So potential energy is equal to minus q square upon krn, okay, which is equal to minus m q raised to 4 divided by k square n square h square. Again, the same value we are putting here. And with the help of this information, we are getting equation number 9. And at very last, what we are going to do? We are going to calculate the total energy. How to calculate total energy? Total energy is nothing but kinetic energy plus potential energy. Okay. So En is equal to kinetic energy plus potential. Now this is equation number 8, which represents the kinetic energy. So we are writing this as it is: m q raised to 4 divided by 2 k square n square h square plus, what is this? This is a potential energy, minus mq raised to 4 k square n square h square. Now this is plus and this is minus. Plus minus will become minus and we have to subtract these two values. Correct? After doing this subtraction, we'll come across the result, which is total energy is equal to minus mq raised to 4 divided by 2 k square n square h square. And this equation number 10 will give us the total energy of electron in nth orbit, because we considered in the very first of this lecture that we are going to consider electron in nth orbit. That is why total energy of electron will be also in the nth orbit. All right. So with this, we'll finish this lecture. We'll see remaining in the next lecture.